Do you ever get that feeling like the days just slip away? You know, you're trying your best, but you feel like you're always just reacting, always playing catch up, always wishing there was, I don't know, a clearer way to get more done, feel better, maybe even feel a bit more in control of your own life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty common. So, what if, and this might sound a bit out there, what if the answer involved waking up at 5 a.m.? Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really interesting book, The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. We've got summaries, key excerpts, the works. Our goal here is to really pull out the core ideas, the strategies you can actually use, and maybe some of those surprising insights from this book. It's a phenomenon, really, promising big shifts in productivity, health, even happiness.
And what's quite interesting, I think, is how Sharma presents it. It's not your typical dry self-help guide. He uses this fictional story, a narrative, to get the principles across, which actually makes it much easier to absorb, doesn't it? You follow this entrepreneur who's totally burnt out, an artist hitting creative walls, and they get mentored by this eccentric billionaire, Stone Riley. It really shows the ideas in action, which helps you see how they might, play out.
Yeah, the story definitely makes it stick, and right away it hammers home Sharma's main idea. Victory begins at dawn.
It's not just about being an early bird, though. The core concept is that those super early hours, they offer this unique, quiet time, no distractions, perfect for deep focus for working on yourself. And he points, that lots of high achievers, think top athletes, CEOs, they often have this kind of disciplined morning routine. So it's not just some quirky idea. It's presented as a real strategy, almost like finding a hidden hour in the day before the chaos starts. Exactly. And if you think about the bigger picture, it's really about flipping the script on how we usually operate. Instead of waking up and immediately reacting to emails, news, other people's demands, you use that first quiet hour proactively for your growth. It's about starting the day on your terms, not the world's, which is, frankly, pretty countercultural these days.
Okay, so victory begins at dawn. That's the philosophy. But how do you actually do it? How do you win that dawn? This is where Sharma gets really specific, moving from the why to the how. He introduces the signature strategy, the 20-20-20 formula, and it's designed precisely for that first hour, 5000 a.m. to 600 a.m. So the first 20 minutes, VE, and he means intense movement, enough to break a sweat. The idea is this boosts dopamine, serotonin, the feel-good stuff, and cuts down cortisol, that stress hormone, get your brain fired up.
Right. It's about priming your neurochemistry first thing.
Then the next 20 minutes, Arifla-CT. This could be meditation, journaling, maybe just thinking about what you're grateful for. The goal here is more about emotional resilience, getting centered, gaining clarity before the day hits you.
Building that inner stability.
And the final 20 minutes, GROW. This is dedicated learning time. Reading books, listening to podcasts or audiobooks, studying something relevant to your work or goals. Pure personal development, basically. Sharpening the saw.
It's a structured approach, isn't it? I mean, most people just stumble into their day. This formula offers this clear sequence: body, then mindset or heart set, then mindset again through learning. It integrates physical, mental, and intellectual development right at the start. It's really about being intentional from the moment you wake up, rather than trying to squeeze self-care in later when you're already tired or busy.
Yeah, that intentionality seems key. And Sharma has that quote that really sums it up. Own your morning. Elevate your life. Simple, but powerful. But the book argues it's not just about the morning routine, is it? That's the foundation. But the real lasting change happens inside. He introduces this concept of mastering the 4 interior empires, which sounds quite grand.
It does, but it makes sense when you break it down.
Right. So the 4 are mindset, that's your psychology, your thoughts, your beliefs. Then heart set, which is all about your emotional life, healing old wounds, managing feelings.
Emotional intelligence, essentially.
Exactly. Then health set, pretty straightforward, your physical fitness, energy, vitality. And finally, soul set, which relates to your spirituality, your sense of purpose, connecting to something bigger than yourself.
And what's really insightful here, I think, is how holistic it is. It connects the dots. It's saying, look, you can't just optimize your thinking mindset if your emotional health, heart set, is a wreck, or if you're physically drained, health set. True peak performance, true mastery, requires nurturing all 4 of these interconnected areas. It's about who you're becoming, not just what you're doing.
Okay, so you've got the 5 a.m. start, the 20-20-20, and this focus on the 4 empires. But making it stick, that's always the hard part with new routines, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The enthusiasm wears off.
Sharma tackles this directly with something called the habit installation protocol. And the key number here is 66, the 66-day rule. He breaks habit formation into 3 stages, each lasting 22 days. Stage 1, the first 22 days, is destruction. This is where your old habits, your old neural pathways start to break down. It feels uncomfortable.
This is where most people quit, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels wrong.
Exactly. Then comes stage 2, the next 22 days, installation. This is where you're actively building the new habit, the new pathway. It still feels difficult, awkward, maybe
You're
forced.
consciously having to push yourself.
Right. And finally, the last 22 days make up stage 3, integration. This is where the magic supposedly happens. The habit starts to feel natural, automatic. It becomes part of who you are, part of your identity.
I find this framework incredibly useful because it sets realistic expectations. It tells you up front, this is going to be hard, then messy, before it gets good. Knowing that the awkwardness of the installation phase is normal, that it's part of the process, can give you the grit to push through. It reframes the struggle. It's not failure. It's phase 2. And you just need to stick with it for those 66 days to reach integration. It really brings that other Sharma quote to life. All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end.
That's a great way to put it. So let's say you've managed it. You're up at 5 a.m. You're doing the 20/20. It's becoming integrated. How do you keep performing at a high level without, crashing and burning?
The sustainability question. Crucial.
Yeah. Sharma introduces another concept here. The twin cycles of elite performance. It's basically about rhythm. There's the high excellence cycle. This is when you're on. Intense work, deep focus, creating, producing, high output. But, and this is key, that has to be balanced by the deep recovery cycle. This isn't just flopping on the couch. It's intentional rest, reflection, maybe solitude, spending time in nature, really unplugging.
This really pushes back against that always-on hustle culture mentality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The book argues that deep recovery isn't the opposite of performance. It's actually an essential part of sustainable high performance. It's not just about preventing burnout. It's actively refueling, consolidating learning, and even sparking creativity. The downtime is productive in its own way.
So rest isn't laziness, it's strategic.
Precisely. You oscillate between intense effort and deliberate renewal.
And to help with managing this balance and just general effectiveness, he also includes these 10 tactics of lifelong genius. We probably can't cover all 10, but maybe a few key ones.
Sure, there's really practical ones in there.
Like the tight bubble of total focus,
Yeah.
which is basically just aggressively eliminating distractions when you need to concentrate. Phones off, notifications silenced, the whole deal.
Simple, but requires discipline.
Definitely. Then there's the 901 rule. I like this one. For the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday focused only on your single most important project or priority.
90 minutes of pure, focused work on what matters most before anything else derails you.
Yeah?
Powerful.
Yeah. And there's the 60-10 rule for structuring work sessions. Work hard for 60 minutes, then take a complete 10-minute break, recharge, then go again.
Building in mini recovery cycles throughout the day.
He even mentions things like a second wind workout, adding another, maybe lighter exercise session in the early evening to boost energy and focus again. And the importance of building your dream team, surrounding yourself with mentors, coaches, positive peers who support your growth.
That's a whole ecosystem of strategies, really.
It is. Now, one thing people often worry about with waking up at 5 a.m. is sleep. Does this mean you just survive on less sleep?
That's a common misconception, and thankfully, Sharma addresses it very clearly.
Yeah, the book is actually emphatic about this. Sleep is absolutely non-negotiable. He still recommends getting a solid 7 to 8 hours.
So the 5 a.m. club isn't about sleep deprivation at all?
Not at all. The key isn't sleeping less, it's shifting your schedule. To wake up comfortably at 5 a.m., you simply have to go to bed early. It forces a discipline on your evenings as much as your mornings. And he also stresses having a pre-sleep ritual, winding down properly. That means, avoiding screens, caffeine, heavy meals close to bedtime, preparing your body and mind for quality rest.
Which makes perfect sense. It positions the 5 a.m. start not as this heroic act of willpower against exhaustion, but as the natural result of an optimized 24-hour cycle. Your morning depends heavily on how you managed your evening the night before. It's about being strategic with the whole day, not just the first hour.
So let's try and wrap this up. If we boil it all down, what's the core message here for someone listening? The 5 a.m. Club isn't just saying wake up early. It's really offering a whole blueprint, isn't it? A system for taking back control. The actionable pieces seem to be: seriously consider that 5 a.m. start. Commit to the 20-20-20 formula move. reflect, grow. Give it the 66 days to really lock it in. Remember to balance that intense work with deep intentional rest. And crucially, keep working on all four of those interior empires, your mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set.
Absolutely. And I think what's fascinating is, yes, it demands significant dedication. There's no sugarcoating that. But the transformation it promises is equally significant. It's a shift from just, reacting and task doing to genuinely designing and owning your life, starting from within.
Yeah, and maybe we can leave people with that quote again. Your excuses are seducers, your fears are liars, and your doubts are thieves. Pretty direct. So maybe the question for you listening is, what's one tiny shift you could make? Maybe not the full 5 a.m. jump tomorrow, but could you wake up 1 minute earlier? Or could you try just one part of the 20-20-20 today? Maybe 20 minutes of movement or reflection or growth. What feels like the smallest possible first step?
And perhaps think about the why behind that step. How does even a small action connect back to that bigger idea of strengthening one of your interior empires, taking back a little bit of control one morning, one intention at a time?
So